Our relationship works like dominoes. I fall for you, you fall for another. Either way, we both brace for an impact. Another hand will pick up what's left when it ends. I'll stay, I'll stay, I'll stay in love with you, girl. I'll stay in love with you, Like dominoes, I fall for you, you fall for another. Either way, we'll brace for each other. Either way, we'll brace for each other. When my heart lands in others' hands, we'll pick up what's left when it ends. And what's left when it ends. If love was a game, then no one taught me how to play. Our touch can never be the same. If love was a game, then no one taught me how to play. Our touch can never be the same. Like dominoes, I fall for you, you fall for another. Either way, we'll brace for each other. Either way, we'll brace for each other. Yeah. When my heart lands in another's hands, we'll pick up what's left when it ends. What's left when it ends. She like Coca-Cola on the teeth, erotic erosion. At first decay is sweet, in the end is implosion. Still emerging from my shell, my time for the eclosion. Got a storm inside my head. On the mic I'll be pouring. On the mic I'll be pouring. Rain, rain, don't go away. Stay so I can grow for change. I don't want to fade away. I don't want to fade away. Rain, rain, don't go away. Stay so I can grow for change. I don't want to fade away. Don't want to fade away. Like dominoes, I fall for you, you fall for another. Either way, we'll brace for each other. Either way, we'll brace for each other. Yeah. When my heart lands in others' hands, we'll pick up what's left when it ends. What's left when it ends. I ache for the melody on her skin. That sound alone could make the ocean give up the moon's pull on her tide. My face is a naked peak. You be sky with open cheek. Remember how sweet the air was between us? Like a spring rose who does not believe snow falls again. That was called Dominoes. Shout out to my man Connor Schulte right here on the guitar. Very talented individual. So, like I said earlier, I'm a spoken word artist too. You know, I flipped a spoken word poem into a song, but I mostly started in spoken word. Can y'all snap for me real quick? Can you clap for me real quick? Can you stomp your feet? Can you shout a hallelujah? Hey, poetry's a little like church, but in its entirety, poetry, spoken word, is a conversation between the poet and the audience. So you feel free to react in any way you need to. If you feel like I'm resonating with what you're thinking or feeling, I don't know, you could tell me. I'm not alone on stage, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to tell y'all a little story, tell y'all a bit about me. For a lot of people, poetry is coping. It's an expression, it's an outlet. And as I was a Division I track athlete for a while, for 3 years, I kind of lost my self-care and my well-being. And poetry was kind of the way I found it, my introspection and my healing in my own way. And it kind of came with its own pitfalls. Like, the first time my Division I track coach, after 3 years, spoke to me about my poetry, he told me, do less of it. It's affecting your ability to perform. The final syllable of perform departs his throat and snaps this glorious mechanism back into position, well-behaved limbs arranged to receive his next command. At this point, I hardly notice the ways in which my flesh cries. See, the crowd will praise streams of sweat, but my body was simply mourning for the days it didn't have to speak like this. Days where my family didn't leave to save the world through the begotten Son, leaving their only son behind in America to save himself. Yes, holy water is still water. And in that divine sea, there was a boy, but still drowning, and I was happy, kicking it with the champion of all cat companions, my comrade, Shadow. Until he was killed by a dog my roommate was being paid to watch, so I buried him in the backyard, next to the big wheel parked along an old fence that no longer has a purpose to stand its ground for, and I walk away, leaving 2 homes forsaken. And the same day, my coach waltzed into the only place I have left to call relief, and he calls it a stable. Came to check on his racehorse's condition. I asked to be left alone, but his voice says, we pay you. His eyes speaks of ownership papers. The word money whips off his tongue, strikes my back as if to say, get moving, Negro. My knee drives into the wind as if to say, yes, master. My body was speaking for me while being spoken for, but Puppet Boy ain't real boy. Puppet Boy is not flesh and pulse, not truly alive. Underneath a university-sponsored facade, but for the first time, I relaxed the Velcro on these lips, cut holes through eyelids to diffuse this mask so I could place vulnerability at his feet, and he steps, tramples all over my definition of solace, only causing me question. Like if the suffering was real, why I shouldn't be sad at all, poetry. Man, poetry kept real boy ticking. Keeps Puppet Boy at bay. So I write these heavy poems bearing the weight that is my prayer. God answers my ink through an audience. Go ahead and turn to your neighbor real quick and tell him, hey, cousin. Tell him, hey, cousin. Because all y'all family. All y'all are my people. We, a congregation of poets, wielding the words spilled from the blood of our wounds as weapon against the quiet, against no longer existing. 2017 kicked my ass and I wrote it back. A restraining order. This ain't a poem. It's an elegy for the puppet boy I let die. See, Coach wanted me bound by string. Wished me to be locked voice box and misplaced key. He needs the athlete and not the emotions that come with the package. And I know I was being taught to conform, to be proficient at existing, to survive, and not the other way around. So don't ever call this stage a performance. It's art. And these moments, my body be a collage sprouting into this world accumulated from each and every one of these scars. Battles won. Still here. And still alive. Jimmy Atchison. Romali Graham. Dietrich Griffin. Willie McCoy. Wendell Allen. Michael Brown. Tamir Rice. Jordan Edwards. Stephon Clark. Antoine Rose Jr. In May of 2016, Antoine wrote a poem. He said, "I hear there are only two ways out. I see mothers bury their sons. I want my mom to never feel that pain. I understand people think, believe, I'm just a statistic. I say to them, I'm different. My name is Darrien Case. I'm about 22 years of age. Each name spoken before is a life. A young black male gone too soon. Shot down by police before they could be as old as I am standing in before you. Unarmed, backs turned, hands up, in front of children, in front of mothers and fathers, grandparents, in public streets, inside their own homes. I say to you, I'm different, but in the eyes of those who protect and serve, I am the same. See, me too. I waded through a calm sea of blank pages like Antoine, ventured into the peace I poured for myself. Let the canvas cherish the parts of me I wished others would. In 2018, I was profiled for what it seemed like the first time. Hood up, headphones in, minding my business. There in Idaho at a mall for a track and field championship. An officer walks by me, and as he does, he has a Zales bag in his left hand, something worth of value, maybe more valuable than me. And his right hand goes to his holster. He unclips his weapon in case he needs it. And I froze. That moment seemed to last an eternity. But when the boy cried bullet, his mother was the first to know. She cracked open, couldn't bear the trauma of his bones. Headlines enveloped the migration of his pulse as he spills back into the soiled arms of creation. When the boy cried bullet, his folks will gather for homegoing service just to wade through the pool of tears flowing from a weeping mother. Kirk Franklin hits bellow from the brass of his favorite instrument on a stage, and she recalls cringing to the shrill blare of his Kenny G attempts. But now the walls of his room groan. They hold all of the weight that is silence. When the boy cried bullet, his hoodie crowned him ruler of a crimson haunting. He folded his vacant vessel into the moonlit grief of his loved ones, masters the art of leaving, and visits the moments he no longer belongs in, casket to Casper, body pale like the cremation of his smile, and he did not wish to haunt them. When the boy cried bullet, his body in that moment was the only canvas where fear stains like mercy, and what's left of him is hung to dry in the gallery titled Wrong Place at the Wrong Time on the most unforgiving side of the color palette. See, the officer will cleanse his hands in the blood of a new painting. When the boy cried bullet, his rights were read as the trigger was pulled. You have the right to remain breathless. Any act of your childhood will be used against you. You see, the shrieking sirens ain't got nothing on the level. They shout his failures, yet his voice dissolves into the valley, the holiest valley of unanswered prayer. Trayvon and Tamir welcome a new gospel to their congregation when the boy cried bullet. His legs trembled before the bloodthirst of an open muzzle. Survival tips flashed from what once was his temporal lobe. Be still. Stay silent. No sudden movements. Yes, wolf. Yes, officer. No, wolf. No, officer. Either way, the boy is still a meal to be consumed in a day. I cried bullet. My heart beat like an NWA bass line, which is to say my body beat 88 Compton, and everyone else goes about their day, oblivious to my terror booming through these speakers. You see, he reached for his holster. And I close my eyes, imagining what God's going to tell me. The officer continued prowling past. My heart fell back into place, and I sighed. Relief. Mama won't cry today. But when a black boy finally unearths his skin and digs out joy the size of mustard seeds, he then sows them across the backyard of his grandmother's home. For that is the most sheltered place of growth, right? Right? Stefan, can you hear me? Remember how fictional this all seemed? The story passed up from the grave directly to our childhoods, and yet they tell us not to run, to be compliant, sit still, even as the wolf bares his fangs. I'd like to give another shout of thanks to Samir for this opportunity and for TEDx, and another shout out to Connor for the guitar. Another hand of applause for him. Thank you for having us.